First week of the beginner's course, we ran over our closed guard. So again, my closed guard just means my guard is just my legs in front of my opponent. And my closed guard is just my legs closed around my opponent, so this position here. In terms of my partner, he's going to try and sit in good posture, so he's got his shoulders over his hips, and he's trying a nice straight back. And he's going to ideally have his legs folded and be sitting back on his feet folded rather than being up on his toes. This might cramp you first couple times you do it, but you'll get used to it. First thing we want to talk about is just posture breaking. If my opponent's up like this, it's hard for me to attack him. I'm trying to get his limbs, I'm trying to get his head, all that's difficult. My goal is to break his posture, which just means, again, his posture is his head over his shoulders over his hips. Right now he's in good posture. I want to be able to pull him down towards me, and now he's in bad posture. Now I can start to grab his head and manipulate his arms. The main way I want to do that is I want to use my strong legs. So if Edward wasn't holding on to me here, I'm getting a pinch with my knees, and I'm imagining I'm doing like a roll over my head, and I'm pulling my knees to my chest. My goal is to get his hands to go on the mat to stop himself. Now his posture's broken, and I'm able to grab him. So one more time, if he wasn't using his hands, I'm pulling with my legs to try and get his hands on the mat where I can grab him. Now, obviously that's like the ideal scenario. In reality, my partner is going to be framing against me. And the frame we looked at in the beginner's course was just this two straight arms where he's got his hands on my hips facing out and he's got his arms straight. So now if I pull with my legs, all that force is going back through my hips, pinning myself to the mat. So I can't really do anything here. So again, I want to pull him with my legs rather than my arms because they're stronger, but my arms play the important game of breaking frames. I'm trying to get his hands off my hips so that now when I do that, I can re-pull and break his posture. So if you see here again, the way I'm going to do that is I'm making like double karate chops like this. I'm coming underneath his wrists, and it's like I'm splashing water on my face. And I make that disconnection. As soon as that happens, then I'm pulling with my legs and driving his hands to the mat. So one more time, he's got his hands flat. I'm coming underneath, lining my thumbs up with his wrists. If he's holding pretty hard and I just don't go with a lot of momentum, it's going to be difficult. So when I'm here, I'm really pulling hard with my legs, like that. Ideally, as that happens, I'm going to circle my hands back to the inside. So you see that when I do this, I circle and grab his wrists. We rotate so your back's facing that one. So again, one more time. His hands are flat. I'm coming underneath, and as I get here, see my hands are swimming through, grabbing his wrists. So I'm controlling his wrist on the mat here. Okay. First attack we looked at from here was our Kimura. So we get our opponent's hands to the mat like this. We're going to keep our grip on one side with our thumb, like a little Seaman, Lego man grip around here. I'm going to open my legs and do like a Mexican wave motion with my other hand, and I'm going to reach over his shoulder. So I'm coming up on my elbow so that if he tries to push me back to the mat, I can keep myself up here. If I'm floating like this, if Edward drives into me, I'm going to fall down again. So I get him to here, I'm Mexican waving across so that my armpit goes into Edward's shoulder, and I'm coming up on my elbow. My elbow's nice and wide, I'm just tucking it underneath myself. From here, I'm going to come all the way through and grab my own wrist. If I'm really far back here and I try to grab that, it's difficult. So I really want to come really tight chest to chest, and then it's easier to grab my own wrist. From here, both my thumbs are going to go on the same side as my fingers. Now when I fall with my back coming to the mat, my leg's going to go across my partner's back. And I'm going to look across his back. So as I fall back down, my leg comes across and I look across his back. I don't want his arms straight. I'm going to start putting a really nice right angle on it. So I'm just curling my hand to put a nice right angle in his hand. From here, I'm imagining his arms a clock here. So right now it's pointing to say like 9 o'clock. I'm going to turn and point it to 12. At the same time, I'm going to clamp really tight on the shoulder so that this arm's, part of his arm's immobilized. And also, I'm not going to let the arm straighten out. I'm keeping it really in a nice right angle. So I got my strong right angle, I'm clamping with my elbow. I'm cupped like this, and I'm turning, forcing my opponent up like that until he taps. So the whole setup again, hands come underneath, I drive, get his hands flat to the mat. Mexican wave motion as I lift up, getting my elbow to the mat, and coming up really tight, shoulder in the armpit. I'm reaching all the way through and grabbing my own wrist. My thumb comes to the same side. As I fall to my back, I'm going to pull, so this becomes a nice right angle. And at the same time, I'm going to look across my partner's back and throw my leg over his back, like this. From here, I stay nice and tight with my top arm, and I turn and put this hand behind his back until my partner turns. We rotate again. Are we still kind of in frame?
Yeah, I'll just move slightly this way.
Yeah, just move slightly back. We got a full professional operation going through, guys, as you can tell. So again, I'm going to come this time. Sometimes when I do this motion, I come up. It's very common that my partner realizes that if his hand goes behind his back, he's in trouble. So he's going to tuck his hand in between us, like this. So we bring it in between our bellies here, like this. From here, if I try to get this out, it's difficult. So instead, I'm going to do a sweep. So a sweep is just going from top to bottom. Sorry, from bottom to top. So again, my elbow's going to come out. I'm going to bring my opposite foot to the mat. So if my left hand's on the mat, right foot to the mat, and I'm going to build up to my hand. So I'm building up. If my hand's really far away, I'm going to bring it closer to my body. My foot comes flat, and both these motions let me lift my hips really high. Now that I lift my hips high, I'm going to look over my shoulder of my hand that's on the mat and turn to face my knees that way. So currently I'm facing this way, and my feet are facing that way. I'm going to look over my shoulder until I face that way. So I lift high, my hips go into my partner, and I turn until I turn him to the mat. One more time. I'm going to bring it back this way just so we try and stay in frame here. So again, I'm here. I got my partner's hands to the mat. I come up and I connect my wrist grip. My partner realizes he might be in danger here, so he hides his hand. Elbow comes out. If I try to come up straight up to my hand here, it can feel difficult. So I bring it out nice and wide. My foot comes to the mat, and I build up tall onto my hand. The taller I am and the higher I can get my hips, the better. When I want to bump and lift my hips, if my foot's far away, it's harder to get my hips high. So I bring my foot really close to my butt, and I can really lift my hips high. I'm looking at that wall. I'm bringing them over the shoulder that I've got my hand on the mat. So I'm looking behind my left arm in this case, and I'm turning my knees to the mat. Like this. So full sequence, one last time. And we'll do it just from a different angle, just so you have a couple ways to see it. And like that. Perfect, guys. So that's what we did in our first week, on the first class of our first week, and then the next video will be talking about getting away from our partner's close guard. Good stuff.